can't be serious. I mean, really though? You mean to tell me that them Voltrons went out like that? Hey, yo, Nims, let me hold this for a minute.
Bong bing, close the train doors. The broom swept, can't believe they got old Ford. Kyrie, you a problem child. Well, Ho said, shit, let me move my bowels. Bong bing, this must be a dream. I thought I saw Spike with the other team. Bong bing, what we talking about? No matter who's on your team, you in the Knicks house. That playing game don't mean you won inside the playoffs. Don't even talk to the media, take that jersey off. The 4 games I'm tuned in, you had the city watching. Don't even watch Philly play, just watch James Harden. That switch pick, never mind, I let my man take him. And now Katie having nightmares of Jason Tatum. That famous line by Loaded Lux said you gon' get this work. Don't talk to me about Ben, he said his back hurt. Like Kyrie, like Steve Nash, you can take the blame. Come next year, I'm going back to playing half them games. The truth be told, we don't care about your Barclays. When it comes to the city, this here's RJ's. My young Jims right now, yeah, they on some shit. From Obi Toppin, I man your ass real quick. A line flip, no, I feel bad for Blake Griff. That's the loss you gotta take to win a championship. Now you back like the New Jersey Nets. What you thought your Final Four was cutting down the nets? Bong bing, close the train doors. The broom swept, can't believe they got old Ford. Kyrie, you a problem child. Well, Ho said, shit, let me move my bowels. Bong bing, this must be a dream. I thought I saw Spike with the other team. Bong bing, what we talking about? No matter who's on your team, you in the Knicks house.
When it comes to the city, it's all.
Salute, salute, salute. The streets are buzzing. What's good, fam? What's good? Hope everyone's well. We're going to get into it and chop this thing up. Knicks Nation, salute out there. Julian, salute Bodega. What's good, fam? What's good? Everyone on replay, gang, watching. And we're going to talk about what's going on with the Knicks news. Obviously, the talk of this tampering situation that's come out of the reports this week. We're going to chop that up. Salute Hardwell, what's good? And of course, we're going to talk about the latest with the Donovan Mitchell situation. The New York Knicks are forcing the Jazz to look elsewhere. And I'm happy about it. You know, Leon Rose staying firm about it. Not making any bad deals. You know, there's no need for it, right? Let Danny Ainge, let the Jazz find a better deal out there as well. We're not giving away 4 unprotected picks. No way. And that's just not good business. Salute Julian Blum, what's good? Brooklyn Buddha in the house, salute. What's good? And Cash Out, salute. Let's get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we start with the good. For me, Leon's actions are speaking louder than words. You know, there's a lot of talk. The Knicks, I don't know how to deal. That, you know, the old narrative, the Knicks get, you know, you call the Knicks and you try to fleece them. Well, this is putting that myth, that narrative to bed. That's old school now, because Leon's actions are speaking louder than words. Right? This deal would have been done way ago if the Knicks were desperate. Right? So anyone saying the Knicks are going to get fleeced, that the Knicks should pony up 4 unprotected first-round picks. Well, the New York Knicks president is showing exactly what he's interested in right now. Talks have stalled for 2 weeks now, and that's because of Leon's, you know, he's pushing back, you know, and he's, you know, looking towards the future and not making a deal that doesn't need to be done, basically. So I'm loving it. His actions are speaking louder than words, and he's staying patient with this thing. Obviously, you know, we're in a standoff, and it's going to go looking like it's going to go all the way to training camp as well. Danny Ainge scouring the market, trying to look for another bidder out there. The Wizards. He's talking to the Charlotte Hornets and the like. The Wiz, the Hornets. Jazz have stalled. Talks have stalled with the Jazz. The Knicks young core. The New York Knicks, in terms of wanting to stay pat, and there's been a lot of talk back and forth with Jazz and Knicks fans. You know, Knicks fans, from our perspective, I don't think we're coming from an arrogance perspective. I think genuinely the New York Knicks are tired of the quick fixes. You know, the Knicks fans, we want to see this thing build. And the Knicks fans generally love their young players at the moment and the promise they have. So I could see it being genuine, the fact that a lot of Knicks fans don't want to part with their beloved young players, and we want to see some of them stick around. We don't want to give them all up and unprotected picks to Danny Ainge for one player as well. Of course, I would love Donovan Mitchell here. Well, I'm not against the deal, um, but at the same time, I'm not giving up multiple unprotected picks for one player. Um, for me, it's not coming from an arrogant standpoint. I just want to see the Knicks build the right way as well. Avoid these quick fixes and trading away a haul. Danny Ainge is looking for a haul right now, and I'm loving the quotes from Jalen Brunson, the motivation he's showing, and he's going to bring the leadership out here. And I think that was just going to be a really underrated pickup with Brunson, and the fact that he is motivated. If you think about the reasons why Jalen Brunson came, not just because of the New York roots, not just because of Rick Brunson, all that. He grew up a Knicks fan. This means more to him than just coming to the New York Knicks for a bag. Uh, he left a Western Conference contender, to come here to take on a bigger role, be a leader, take this franchise to winning, right? Put it on his back. And to me, that speaks about motivation for Jalen Brunson, right? It's not just about the bag. Dallas would have given him the bag if he wanted to stay there, right? So for once, it ain't just about a player wanting to go to the Knicks to get the bag. It's he really wanted to be here, and he's motivated to be here as well. So that's just a beautiful thing, if you ask me. We always want a player that's at the peak of their game that really wants to come to the Knicks and bring their talents here to help us win. Now the Spider deal has to be better than the Gobert deal, right? The whole league is still bitching about the Rudy Gobert deal. It caused a lot of angst among executives around the league. People still in surprise, just what the Jazz got back for Rudy Gobert. Now I'm here to give my thoughts and say that this talk that Spider Mitchell is a better prospect and better player, absolutely, than Rudy Gobert. But this automatic talk that the Spider deal has to be better than the Rudy Gobert deal, that is where this whole narrative and why the trade is stalling, it's crumbling down, because at the end of the day, it was a record haul. And who's to say that another team around the league has that same haul to give up or wants to give that up for Donovan Mitchell? So, Leon's actions are speaking louder than words, like I said, and we're going to take this all the way to training camp or whatever it has to be for Danny Ainge to realize that I don't think that there's going to be another deal out there that's going to be better than the Rudy Gobert deal. I just don't see that happening. Could he get something similar? Possibly, but I don't think the Knicks are willing to do that. They would have done that already, and there's no need to give away multiple and all those first round picks, and the young players. So that's the bad for me. This talk that the deal has to be better than the Rudy Gobert deal. I don't know where that comes from. And of course, there's been a lot of poor reporting out there as well. When the talks got announced, everyone thought this deal was going to take place real fast, right? And then there's obviously been a lot of, unfound sources out there, so to speak. And then I'm not a fan of these narratives around the Knicks young players, around the national media, that the Knicks don't have young talent. Well, there's been talk after Summer League now, and that narrative is slowly changing. The Knicks do have some desirable young pieces. Well, some pieces that some other teams would love to have as well. So that old narrative has got to change. And of course, we're still in a situation where the Knicks rotation is in question. It's debatable as well. There's some fat still that needs to be trimmed on this thing, and a more balanced roster around the wing spot needs to be found. And of course, we end with this tampering investigation going on. It was no surprise to me. However, I will say this. Uh, I believe the NBA is just doing their due diligence with this thing. I'm not stressed about it. I'm not worried. I don't think anything will really come of it. But yeah, I just think the NBA is doing their due diligence. But if the New York Knicks incur a penalty as well, I'll be disgusted. And here's why: because year upon year upon year, we've seen over the past few decades, every single free agency, when the clock hits midnight, we hear deals get announced. Right? This is absolutely no different. Right? If the Knicks incur a penalty for signing Jalen Brunson, then the NBA needs to go back and fine every single transaction that was announced right after free agency began, at midnight, 6 p.m., whenever it was over the last how many years, because we've seen it year upon year. And just because, the terms of this deal may have been, negotiated or talked about before the clock hit midnight, well, so is so many other deals as well. So the NBA didn't do nothing about that. So yeah, I'm not sweating it. I think it's just the league just making this announcement. They're doing their due diligence around the league for perception around the other teams. But yeah, if the New York Knicks incur a penalty, I'll be disgusted because yeah, this is absolutely no different to other teams signing dudes at midnight. Basically, it happens every single year. And that said, let's get into it. Salute out here as well. Got your coffee, tea, wherever you're at. Knicks Nation, we're the best in the biz. Let's get it. The love is real. Appreciate you guys all, and let's chop this thing up. What are your thoughts? So Big Task says exactly, CT. The Knicks have to build this the right way. No more getting fleeced out here. Yep, absolutely on point, fam. Let's get it. Yep, no more making deals that we're not forced to make. Yep, absolutely. Big Task. Appreciate you for that. Let's get it, Sherwin. Good day, mate. What's good, John? Still Knicks fam. Salute to everyone out here. And Sherwin says Brunson and Mitchell is not a good combo. Gobert is a perfect fit for the T-Wolves. Mitchell, not what the Knicks need. Yep. I want to elaborate on that point about the T-Wolves side of things, Sherwin, as well. Yeah, they paid for what they paid for the Gobert deal. That's fair for them. Different markets are different places to face different challenges recruiting, and of course the Wolves have some great talent, so they wanted to give up those assets for Gobert. That's good for them, but yeah, that doesn't mean that every other team is going to or has those assets to give up or wants to give them up. So that's where the flaw in the narrative comes from me. And James, yeah, Shams, yep, in people's back pockets. Bodega, Cuban said that he didn't believe the Knicks tampered with Brunson as well. Yep.
Check it out. Check it.
Yep. You're spot on, Bodega, as well. I don't think Cuban really looked too disturbed about it. And yeah, if the Knicks incur a penalty, I don't think it'll be a big penalty at all. I'm not stressed about it at all. I'm not fussed. But yeah, I just feel like they'll be hard done by if the Knicks get a penalty, because yeah, we see this year after year. Players get signed. Who cares if the Knicks long courted him? Yeah, so what? He was an unrestricted free agent. He chose his destination already. I mean, most players are going to think about where they're going to go before midnight hits. Do they wake up do they, the clock hits midnight and then they suddenly have an epiphany where they want to go? No, they've been thinking about it. They've been talking to their agent. Yeah, and of course the president and the coach being here and all that just clouds things even more. So yeah, I just think this is just PR for the NBA. They're doing their due diligence, just like a GM speaks to other teams about trades and things. I think the NBA just announced this to show that they're taking or trying to take tampering seriously and things like that. Yeah, the Knicks absolutely didn't do nothing wrong in this situation. And yeah, still Dre, salute. What's good, fam? DeRas, a lot of Knicks fans are thirsty and just want another hit. Front office has long-term plans. Yep, you speaking facts there. Yep, all about the long-term plans, the Ras as well. And I was saying this all week. If the Knicks make a big deal, they need assets to remain in the cupboards as well for future transactions. Well, Donovan Mitchell is nice. He's an all-star, top 20, 15 player in the league. You can debate it, and he would help this team. But would he make the Knicks an instant contender? He wouldn't. Well, so for all the Jazz fans and everyone out there thinking the Knicks should just pile all their assets for this move as well, yeah, it's not going to get us to where we need to go as well. So we just need to be patient with this thing. Be patient. Jerry says Mitchell can and will leave Utah in 3 years after the 25 season. Take that into account when some talk about sending 4 players and 4 to 5 picks, some that will be made after 2025 when he can sign here. Yep, speaking the truth there, Jerry, as well. As you see on the screen, I've got a story from Bleacher Report, well, that just dropped. And yeah, it's sort of been the thought around the league, like Jerry just hit on that, and I give Jerry his props for that. Yeah, like the league's kind of known that Donovan Mitchell and the Jazz, the long-term future is just not there. I know he's got some years on his deal. That's fair. But with that said, if the Knicks just remain patient, Donovan Mitchell can still be had in the future as well. So when you're talking about which side has leverage, at the end of the day, I don't think the New York Knicks have to make this deal. Whereas I feel like this is a ticking situation for Utah, where they're eventually going to have to trade Donovan to somebody, right? They're absolutely going to have to trade him to somebody. And as we read the article, the little excerpt there, as we wait to see if Mitchell gets traded before the start of the 2021-22-3 season, there is new insight into why the Jazz would consider moving the superstar. Per Andy Larson of the Salt Lake Tribune, there is an overwhelming feeling among NBA insiders that Mitchell would likely leave the Jazz when he can opt out of his current deal after the 24-5 season. It's long been speculated that Mitchell would eventually look to leave Utah at some point in his career. And ESPN's Tim McMahon said in Feb on an episode of the Hoop Collective pod, there was speculation around the league that the market size might matter to Mitchell amid a discussion about him potentially leaving the Jazz. Yet it's been a lot of the talk that we've been hearing. Mitchell's interested in big markets, obviously New York and probably Miami would be an enticing situation for him, but they just don't have the packages so far that the Utah Jazz would like. So that doesn't leave too many suitors, right? And I understand the Jazz they want to keep him until they find a deal that they like. But I'm happy that the Knicks are ultimately just saying no for now as well. With the asking prices too high from our side of things, just walk away. Just walk away. It's the right thing to do. Salute Glenn. I'm so glad we aren't giving up everything and caving into Ainge. We can use him, but we don't need him. Yep. I love that last point you made. That was a key point you made. Absolutely. We can use him, but we don't need him. Right. Yep. And of course, we want to keep building. We want to win. I want to win as bad as anything in this New York Knicks situation. But that doesn't mean you take the bait and you get too desperate. Well, and I understand star talent doesn't become available all the time. I know all that. I've heard it all. I really do. I really do understand that side of the thing. But when you're talking about deals around the league and things like that, especially from the Knicks' perspective, we need to have learnt from the past. Giving up unprotected picks, it hurts you. It hurts you in the future. It really does. If Spider Mitchell and whoever else we get doesn't take us to where we need to go, what happens with these unprotected picks? It's going to come home to roost. King Ribby up in here, salute. And what's good, Andrew? Jerry says Nick didn't give SA 3 unprotected picks for Murray DeJounte, who is better than Brunson and could have been had before Brunson signed. not then going to turn around and send more players and picks for Spider as well. Yep, making great sense there. Yeah, exactly. You got to read the tea leaves with that situation and what Leon's doing. With this situation, he is methodical, he's calculated. The Knicks as well. Yes, Spider's their guy, but there's a long way to go still. Let's call their bluff and let them bring Spider into training camp. Well, because we don't need him right now. We're not on a window. We're not on a timeline where the Knicks have to contend, right? No. Do we have an aging star where we need to maximize his lifeline, career lifeline? No. We're not on the clock that way. We're in a talent acquisition mode that we're trying to build with, and we're trying to improve and go up the standings. But that's not a team in a desperate situation as well. Now, I also understand that the Jazz don't necessarily have to trade him straight away, but if they don't, they could only do that at the hurt of their own future, in terms of delaying their rebuild and things like that. So, my opinion is, what's going to happen from here? I think we're going to continue to hear about, maybe the sides talk again, maybe in the coming weeks and months, but I think it's still going to go closer to training camp before talks get serious again. And I salute Pudge Nice up in here. Salute. A great avatar there. What's good, fam? Hope you're well. And yeah, I think both sides can't hurt to just continue to, for the Jazz perspective, keep shopping him, keep talking to other teams, see what they can get. For the Knicks, just stay quiet. I'm sure they made their best offer heard for this situation. I'm sure Leon told Ainge which young players he may not be willing to deal with, how many unprotected picks he'd be willing to give up, and also how many of the protected picks. I think he would have been happy to part with a lot more of the protected picks and maybe even some pick swaps. But it's that unprotected word that gives Knick fans and front offices headaches. You don't want to be dealing too many of those unprotecteds as well, because who the hell knows what can happen in 3, 4, 5, 6 years from now? Injuries, all of those things. Even if there's just tiny protections on it, as well, that's better than nothing as well. And a salute to the mods out here, the chat, replay gang, Knicks Nation. And yeah, it's been a good off season so far. I think the Knicks have done what they needed to do. They've brought in some talent. We've got a lot of young talent that we really want to see get a nice crack this season about showing what they can do. I know they've been in the summer, in the gym this summer and improving their skill set, right? A biggest misconception is teams have to acquire a player to improve, right? Improvement can come from within. In terms of so many young players that we don't quite know what their potential, their ceiling is yet. Yeah, a lot of improvement can come from within. Pablo, salute. Leon is a former agent and he knows player value and will not overpay for Donovan like the T-Wolves did for Gobert. Well, yep, that's straight facts as well. Good point. Yep. He's been around this league for a long, long time. Has Leon, like Pablo just said, and he also knows player value. He's been part of trades and situations like that. And so is Danny Ainge. Yeah. Danny Ainge is a veteran at this thing, right? He's not going to blink either. So, yeah, I'm happy that Leon's basically, from our perspective, I can't really speak so much for the Jazz. I know what their fans are hoping for, and and I know what Danny Ainge is trying to get. But from our perspective, I'm happy that we aren't just throwing all the chips in the middle of the table right now for this thing. What I'd be willing to give up would be a lot more of those protected picks. I'd be willing to give 3 or 4 of those, the protected ones, 1 or 2 unprotected picks at max in any deal. Well, and only 1 young player. Well, certainly not 2 to 3 of those young players. as well. And look, if it's pick swaps and that's much better than giving away picks or unprotected picks, because a pick swap means that you still can keep your selection, yeah, and be able to continue to add your talent. Yeah, and Jerry says there, besides, just because the Knicks upgraded their roster since 2020 and accumulated assets doesn't mean you need to jump at the first shiny object that comes along. Let's see who else becomes available. Yep, exactly, Jerry. Yep, you never know what the future holds in terms of what's around the corner. Your stars become disgruntled. Stars become available as well. Other teams get more desperate. Yeah, and other things like that. So yeah, continue to stay patient. Continue the dialogue. There's no need to make it personal with Danny Ainge. Yeah, we all know what he's about, what his MO is, and he is sitting on the player that's the all-star. At the end of the day, the Knicks want an all-star, of course. So Danny Ainge has what the Knicks want, but the Knicks also have what Danny Ainge wants as well. But like I reiterated at the beginning of the show, I don't think the Knicks are in desperation mode to just give up what he's asking for as well. That's a bad deal for the New York Knicks. We need future assets to continue to build. And of course, I'm high on Obi, IQ. I'm high on RJ, Cam, and Grimes, of course. And then we just need to continue to build. And I think it wouldn't be the worst thing for both sides to start the season. We brought in Jalen Brunson. Touched on his motivation and his leadership at the start of the show, and him coming here wanting to bring his skill set, leadership, point guard savvy play to this club, and really put us in a position that can just be a great squad overall. Share the rock, equal scoring, a balanced scoring roster for that thing. Nothing too lopsided. And Julian says, shout out, one thing you can say for sure, Leon only pulls the trigger on a trade when there's value. Look at the history of all these executed trades with the Knicks. Danny isn't going to rip him off. Yeah, I like that. I'm glad to hear from Knicks Nation about their confidence in this thing as well. And a lot of Knicks fans still want Donovan and, understand that it's still likely to happen. I still put it at likely. Whatever timeline it's going to be, whether he ends up finding his own way here or a trade. But I think Donovan Mitchell definitely wants to be in New York. But yeah, exactly like Julian says, one thing you can say for sure is Leon waits for the right time to pull the trigger on the trade, and when there's value. Look at his trades. D Rose for DSJ and a second rounder as well. That was great value. He bought low on Cam Reddish as well, Kevin Knox, and a heavily protected Charlotte first round selection. So one thing you can say for sure is, Leon, he hasn't made that big swing yet. He hasn't pulled that big trade off yet, but he's certainly made more value trades, smart trades, and with the help of Brock Aller and Scott Perry, Worldwide West, and the rest of the front office, they're definitely doing their diligence around the league as well. Like you can say for sure, they're operating like a more balanced team, organization standpoint. And Jose Suarez, salute. Knicks have a pretty good young core, and what Tibbs needs to do is let the young players play, like Obi, Quickly, Grimes. These guys have potential to become stars. Yep, they absolutely do. Yep, and the narrative is flipping as well, Jose, about the Knicks' young talent. I really feel like it's flipping. And Obi and IQ, obviously they've got so many great qualities, but their work ethic, their love for the game, they bring positivity. They work hard, and of course, hard work is undefeated. It ain't just about talent. I think those guys are going to help reach their potential, whatever that is. They're hungry. You want a player play for you that's hungry. Yeah, and Grimes is just all talent as well. Grimes just has that talent. He just has that. He's a baller. He was made to play, and shooter, defender, two-way guy. We haven't had a wing player like that since last one I can remember. That played both sides of the ball. I struggle to remember who it was, Yeah, but and we drafted him as well, homegrown. These guys, homegrown, some draft picks that we hit on, and that's where it comes from in terms of the Nick fan base. It's not where we're playing both sides in terms of not wanting to give up things and wanting to get Donovan Mitchell. We really don't want to give up young talent as well. The Knicks have had quick fixes so many times in the past that Knick fans, it's been decades, and we're not that 2019 kind of 2018 situation as we are anymore, right? We're a much longer timeline, and we need to develop what we have, and just continue to see some of these guys grow and pop, and hopefully one or two of them can become all-stars, and then we're sitting on something even better as well. So yeah, that's exactly the point with this thing, right? It ain't just about not wanting Donovan Mitchell or wanting to be cheap. It's not about that. And Glenn Jones says, keep up the great work. I enjoy the content. I think we can go into battle with what we have and just wait. Yep. Appreciate you, Glenn, for that. I'm glad you enjoy it. Knicks Nation, salute. And I completely agree. I think let's go into battle with what we have. I think expectations this year are actually fair. Going into last season, we were obviously coming off the 4th seed, ladies and gentlemen, and expectations were pretty much through the roof. If you're being honest, Kemba Walker, we signed a wing, Evan Fournier, that could shoot, stretch the floor. I thought that was a big upgrade over Reggie Bullock, and I thought Kemba Walker, would do better than what he did. But yeah, expectations were rightfully pretty high for me last season. After finishing 4th, I knew the East would get stronger, but I didn't think we'd regress that much. But going back into this season, I think expectations are a bit more realistic for me personally anyway. We got Jalen Brunson. I'm looking forward to seeing us operate with a proper offense, with a better point guard, better playmaking, and better scoring for the point guard spot, more durability, and all of those good things. So yeah, like Glenn says, let's go into battle with what we got so far as well. We got guys that are hungry in contract years with RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish, Mitchell Robinson. I think that talk's not getting enough talk about how fascinating that will be. Mitch being drafted and re-signed at 15 mil per. Well, I really want to see how hungry Mitch comes in. What he's improving on this season with his game. We got some depth at the center position, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, I think that's a storyline that's going to get a lot more heat coming in. Is the center situation with Mitch? He got paid nice, got deserving, got the bag. Did Mitch as well? I know he's going to put in work. He's one of the best offensive rebounders in the league. That shot blocker we need for the last line of defense. And yeah, I think with that situation, we just go into battle, like Glenn says, and then we see with Mitchell or no Mitchell. I'm certainly not going to be crying about it. Well, if I find out in the future that the talks stall because of something petty, like a second round pick, which I highly doubt it, or you know, uh, I don't even think talks are stalling over anything petty. It's something serious, like unprotected picks, and they want more young players as well. So I'm confident and I'm happy that Leon Rose is just staying firm. And Jerry says, I don't see Utah getting a better offer than Fournier, who Mitchell replaces, Grimes and McBride, both out of the present 10-man rotation. Yep. 3 firsts from the draft night, which are the protected picks, and either Obi or Cam, not both. Well, I agree. Not saying I would give all that up, but I don't see Utah so far getting a better deal, Jerry. I really don't with that. Yep, you hit. Yep. It's about market value at the moment. And that's what gets me about the expectation that they're going to get the same deal they got for Rudy Gobert. You're worth what somebody is willing to pay for you or is able to pay for you right now. Right? If you canvass the league, how many teams are lining up to give up 4 to 5 firsts for Donovan Mitchell? There is no other teams lining up to do that. So the fact that they just want the Knicks to just pony them up, that's, that is what they want to do, but that's not fair, basically, as well. It's like an auction. The price only goes so high in an auction because there's two people bidding against each other, right? Otherwise, if there's just one bidder in an auction, the item goes for whatever the first bid is, basically. So yeah, Danny Ainge is trying to drum up some value with this thing. He's talking to the league, and that's fair enough. But yeah, the Wizards, the Hornets, I mean, spare me. I don't think they can come up with anything close in terms of the draft compensation as well. Maybe young players, yes, possibly amount of young players, but maybe not even. If you're talking about we're talking about us giving them Grimes and Cam and maybe Deuce, Rokas, stash pick as well. I think that's a pretty good young nucleus of talent as well. And D's World of Hoops, salute, peace, prosperity, everybody. And let's get it. D, nice. What's good? Chemistry-wise, it may not work out if we get Donny. I'm okay with the team we currently have. Let's go. Would rather have a player like Jaylen Brown who can play D. And the KD trade rumors upset him. Yep, great point there as well. Yep, it's hard not to be upset if you're Jaylen Brown. Everything you've done for them.
Check it out. Check it.
Yep, you hit D nice, and yet that goes into the point about let's stay firm and let's see what else is around the corner, because the next big thing is around the corner as well. It ain't just Donovan Mitchell or nothing. If the Jazz don't like what what's being offered for Donovan, rest assured they're going to keep him for a minute. I really feel like they're going to keep him for a minute, and then he's still going to be available as well. He's going to still be available with this thing. Now, of course, if the bidding war increases, then okay, let's have more talks. But at the end of the day, I think Pat Riley, Miami, is trying to really key in on a KD situation, right? They're trying to go for the big one. Is Pat Riley? Maybe Donovan is a fallback plan. Tyler Hero, that's his ace card. That's his a trump card with that situation. That's his ace up his sleeve. But yeah, Tyler Hero can't really get him a couple of first round picks that he needs right now so far. And yet, let's get it. P nice, appreciate you. Let's get it. Tears. Also, I'm good with what we have. Let Mitchell sit on his throne, or let Danny sit on his throne, and then understand that he can't swindle the Don. We have a great team, and we can make the playoffs. Yep, absolutely, fam. Let's get it.
Let's go, Knicks. Got to start winning, especially at home. Keep the streets right. Keep them buzzing. Keep us all informed. You're the best. Let's go.
Yep, you hit Tears as well. Yep, no swindling out here. Sharp Power, salute, salute, salute. Appreciate you, fam. What's good? Hope you're well. And Julian says it would be super awkward for everybody if Donovan Mitchell rocks up at the Jazz training camp. Yep, that's the other side of this thing. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's the other side of this thing. The longer it goes, the more the leverage starts to swing a little. Now, obviously, there's a lot of people on their side that don't want to acknowledge that. They're like, yeah, everything's all good. Mitchell would be, he'd be a pro. I think Donovan Mitchell's that kind of dude. That's why I respect the heck out of him. He'd be a pro. He's not going to be like no James Harden, come in overweight kind of thing. He just loves to ball out. But ultimately, in his heart, his head, he doesn't want to be there as well. And we'll always have that side of that leverage as well. It's a ticking situation, whether it's half a year, 1 year, 3 years. Donovan Mitchell will eventually not be with the Jazz with this situation for many reasons. And I'll also highlight, yesterday, the Jazz social media, in a bizarre fashion, started tweeting out, for NBA Dunk Week, Donovan Mitchell dunks against New York Knicks teams, New York Knicks players, as well. That was crazy. It wasn't just on Twitter, as you see the image there. Spider see, Spider do. Happens to be burning Alec Burks to the rack and then dumping it on a ducking Obi Toppin. But also on their Insta account, there was another image there you see on your right. Have you ever seen a spider dunk as well? And who's in the background? More New York Knicks players. I mean, that's trolling to a T right there. You have Quickly in the image there. You have Obi ducking as well with that situation. So, yeah, this is very, very interesting to see this go back and forth as well, and I expect it to continue. And like Julian hits on, it's going to be awkward. And Eric Snowden says it's hilarious. For years, the Knicks had no decent young talent, no picks. Now everybody wants to trade away the young talent and picks again. He ain't worth all they're asking. Develop our own. Yep, I agree, Eric, as well. And I'm not saying I don't want Donovan. I think I'd do a fair deal still, and figure the rest out later. And for me, what's a fair deal? One of the young players, one of the three good young players in Grimes, Obi, or Quickly, and then maybe Deuce on top of that. No more than 2 unprotected picks, and some of the protected picks as well. I think that's fair, very, very fair deal as well. I would not be willing to go anything higher than that. And D's World of Hoop says, holes are in the roster that have to be plugged. Missed out on a couple guys that could have had for cheap. Yeah, Eric Paschal, TJ Warren. Well, yep. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that too, D. Thinking about moving forward with what we have. Thinking about plugging holes. How can we get better slowly? Step by step. Championships do not happen overnight, ladies and gentlemen. They just don't. And again, I go back to what I just said earlier. Improvement. The biggest improvement in my eyes comes from within. It's not just about drafting and signing players and acquiring talent. It's developing and building what you currently have. And I think we can all agree the Knicks haven't had this much young talent and this level of young talent in a long, long time. So is now really the right time to give up on that when we haven't been in this situation, for a long, long time as well. And appreciate you, Raw Hebrew, for the super chat, fam. And Raw says, game recognizes game. Great show, my brother. I appreciate you, Raw. Hebrew, Remnant as well. Let's get it. Let's talk about this young core we have as well. I'd really love to get your thoughts as well about, whether or not you'd be willing to make a trade for Donovan, or you wouldn't want to make this deal at all, regardless of the picks or fairness of the deal as well, because I know you're high on the Knicks young talent we have as well, and the Knicks have to continue to do the right things by them. Clear some of the fat on this roster, and give them an opportunity with this thing, because we're in it's a new day. It's not 2018 or 2019 up in this piece anymore. We're also more attractive in terms of destination. Right, I go back to Jalen Brunson. Yes, you could talk about the New York ties, the roots, his father here, family that he spoke about. But at the end of the day, we've seen players take that 5th year. We've seen players stay in their homes. It ain't like Dallas is an awful situation. It was a 5th year on the table for a Western Conference team. And he turned that down, and that just has my respect from a Brunson perspective as well. It ain't all rainbows over in New York either as well. He knows what he's coming up against with a RJ, with a Randall, and a roster that's still figuring things out. But he said, to hell with it, I'm coming there, and I'm going to try to bring leadership and winning to the New York Knicks as well. And I think we're on the right path, basically. As long as we continue to build the right way, winning will come. We just got to stay patient, and winning will come. Like Raw Hebrew says, appreciate you, fam, as well. Really appreciate that contribution, and love the work you're doing as well. And Shah Gunner says, salute, my boy. I think the trade is being held up mostly because Danny is not buying what value RJ, what we value RJ, because we kill the conversation by giving him the rookie max, but we didn't. So yeah, Shah Gunner talking about the reasons why a deal, why he thinks the deal's being stalling a bit more. And Danny's not buying that we value RJ with that situation. Look, RJ's a polarizing guy with this situation as well. I think this is the year RJ just puts all of that to bed, and some players develop at different rates as well. It's hard. I really don't like to compare players, all players in their third year up against every other player, because guys develop at different rates. But as long as you see they're on the right path, and you're confident in their work ethic, you're confident that they'll get to where they need to be, I'm good with that. You could give up crumbs for Nazir Little. Could get rid of Evan, contract for Eric Gordon as well. Yep, there's some dominoes to fall as well, D. I think when if we walk away for the Donovan deal, or it stalls for much, much longer, I think the Knicks will also start to look at the Fournier situation as well. Because if Grimes is staying, I really want him to be the starting two with this situation. It just makes the most sense. And I was even calling for Evan to be off the bench last season. Believe it or not, even in his first year as a Knick, it just makes more sense, Evan off the bench if he's here as well. With Grimes showing what he's showing, the priority should be to try to trade Evan with this thing. Yeah, exactly. Eric, makes no sense. That's the position you want to be in. And if you give that up, it has to be for a tier 1 superstar, not tier 2. Well, yep, that's playing chess, not checkers, D, as well, fam. Yep. And everything the Knicks do, the front office, it's calculated. We have the most intel on a Donovan Mitchell thought process with this thing. If the Knicks front office don't know that Donovan Mitchell doesn't want to come here, then I'd be very, very surprised. It's just a ticking situation, whether it's a trade or in the future as well, right? Don't give up all your leverage with this thing. And yeah, Spider is playing in the Miami Pro League as well. Don't sleep on Pat the Rat. Yeah, Ant the Man, what's good? The Knicks are not forcing Danny Ainge to do nothing. Mitchell is signed for another 3 years. Yeah, move on as well. Yep. Well, with that situation, it is a few years. The Knicks do need to move on. If that's the case, if the two sides can't come to common ground as well, it's like, two older men bickering back and forth with Ainge and Leon over something. If talks aren't serious, then walk away. Don't sweat the Utah fan base. They're going nowhere except to a full rebuild. Yep, straight facts there as well. Yep. They're just upset, which I really understand. Naturally, the passion you have for your team, you were the first seed in the West. You drafted this star, and now he doesn't want to be with you. It's tough. We've been there as Knicks fans, we've been through that. The Jazz have had some solid years, and I understand the situation where they're frustrated now. They're headed to a rebuild. Straight facts. Raw also gets back and says, I would make the trade for the right price. I trust the front office to make the right deal, but the roster needs to be tweaked. Yep. Yeah, I completely agree with that as well. Yep. Every deal could be had for the right price for us as well. It's got to make sense when you're trying to build this thing. It's like building a jigsaw puzzle for me. I compare that to try to build a team in the NBA, a winning team. The pieces got to fit as well. So it showcases the full jigsaw image with that. And good to hear you have the trust in the front office as well to make that right deal. Yep. I really think we're operating different now. The media still can't come to terms with they can't comprehend the Knicks are operating differently. And we've been seeing it for a minute now with this situation. They're eventually going to catch on. I feel like with this thing as well. Jerry says holes. Question: Sims, McBride, Grimes can't crack 10-man row. Iron sharpens iron. Point guard Brunson with D Rose. The shooting guard Evan IQ. Small forward RJ Cam. Power forward Randall with Obi. And the 5 spot Mitchell and Isaiah. Holes finally NBA players with all 10 spots. Well, we got to see these pieces fit as well. We got to see them stay healthy. With that said, I think size is where a lot of fans do feel there's some holes. Size and toughness, I think, at the wing. If you look at Evan IQ at the shooting guard as well, those guys got talent. For me, I think we could do with a bit more size at the shooting guard. And the small forward spot, I think Cam's the right size. RJ, I ideally want RJ at the 2 as well. But yet, I'm certainly more happy with the current look of the roster right now. I'd be happy going into starting night with what we have. Kaiser Soze, good morning. What's good, fam? What's good as well? King, what's good? And James says, no matter what, I don't want Toppin getting traded. It's so unfair for him to never get to showcase properly here since we got drafted. Yeah, I completely agree with that, fam, as well. You talk about a guy that was, the man for Dayton, for his college team, and I can't even recall a situation where a player was the man in college and came into such a tough situation where he was barely getting any minutes. The 8th overall pick as well. Normally in any franchise, a player like that with that talent at that selection would be getting regular burn as well. But Obi's managed to, rise above a lot of adversity as well. So he's really got my respect with that. The fact that he's slowly improved and with his minutes increment, he's been able to improve his play as well and stay ready. Staying ready, that's what it's all about, just being a real pro. I could see Obi Toppin just being a great real pro in this league for another decade or more as well, even though he's an older prospect. And for me, I really want to see him get those minutes. And I really hope Tom Thibodeau, if he's here, opens his thinking about, using Obi as a weapon in different positions as well. I think I really feel Obi could play the 5 some more. If you want to keep Randall, you got to find ways to get Obi more minutes as well. He is a mismatch in this modern NBA. So you got to play to your strengths, I think, and you got to utilize your weapons, right? The weapons you have at your disposal. Obi Toppin's a weapon. I think if Obi Toppin was on another team, there'd be many, many coaches around the league that would find more ways to use him as well. I've heard a lot of fans think 3 spot. Could Toppin steal some minutes at the 3? I think he's definitely improving with his quickness. It's not ideal, but I like him at the 5 for stretches, 3 to 6 minutes a night, at the 5 spot. Just get up and down. There aren't many big men that can keep up with him. And Raw says RJ off the table. Danny trying to save the face. Yep. Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, and look, Danny's been used to fleecing people. He got what he got for Rudy. He fleeced Brooklyn years back. He's always come from a position of power most of the time. So he needs to come down off his throne, like the chat was saying tonight with this situation. Because this is different. We're the Knicks that we still want to acquire great talent, but we're not desperate at the moment. When we don't have a ticking timeline, there's no Joel Embiid on this roster in his prime that needs a sidekick. There's nobody that's disgruntled with the front office saying, get me help, kind of thing. We're operating on at our own pace with this thing. D says, yes, we do have the holes in the roster. Every NBA team has holes on the roster, even teams that make the finals plug holes, says D as well. Ainge is delusional. One fire closes and another opens. Another disgruntled star will hit the market. No tears necessary. Yep, I agree with Kaiser. Yep, I agree with that. P Nice is false. And King, if we could keep Obi and Grimes, I'd give up 5 picks. Yeah, that's really getting heavy, that situation. Yeah, certainly the picks. Like, I understand we've been saving these picks for a long time, and I'll be okay with moving a lot of the picks too. It's the type of the picks as King, and these protected picks that we got from Washington, the pick we got from Milwaukee from draft night as well. All those picks I'd be happy to give up. The other teams' picks, the Dallas one in 2023, as well. It's these future unprotected picks where it's really dangerous. You don't know what your team might look like in 5 years. The 2028, 2029 kind of picks, if they were unprotected, be different. But yeah, I'd be willing to give up a fair amount of picks for Donovan. Just a lot of them protected. And Ross is RJ rising star, definitely up in here. He's got different qualities that other young players haven't got as well. I think he gets it. And Brooklyn says, Shah, keep talking about RJ in this trade. Stop it. Ainge clout chasing, P nice. Yep, facts. Yep. He's under pressure too. I feel that, in a new ownership situation with Utah, any small market team that has to relinquish their great star, their savior as well. It's a situation that's not desirable. For me, I wouldn't want my team in that situation. Danny's left to try to find the remnants of these stars that are exiting, and I want to be on our end, and be the team that these young stars want to go to. A finesseful J says RJ, Obi, Cam should be off the table. I get that a lot of fans are down on Cam, but that's because we failed him last year. Give him time and he will surprise us all. Yeah, I could certainly see that. I'm not the highest fan on Cam, but I'm also still quietly hoping and confident that, with given health and opportunity, that Cam Reddish could be a big part of this rebuild with the Knicks as well. And I was a huge fan of the trade at the time. And I also agree with you, the fact that he didn't, we failed him in terms of not getting him minutes straight away. When last season looked like it wasn't going the right way, we should have given Cam more minutes. That's a fact. I also appreciate that Leon let Tibbs do his own thing. The last thing you want is a meddling front office all the time. But there was a point in time when Leon should have just tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Hey, maybe 6 or 7 DNPs in, and we were losing." I would have said, "Hey, see what the young kid can do." Well, Eddie Alvarez, salute. Only young guys on the table if we send out 2 unprotected firsts, a Cam, Deuce, or Grimes. No more than 2 kids go out. Yep, you hit. Absolutely, fam, you hit. Completely agree, Eddie, with that. Yep, we spoke about the pick side of things, but the young players as well. There's no need to give up. If you're talking about Cam, Grimes, Obi, and Quickly, there's no need to give up more than one of them as well. Talk to me about the pick side of things, but for the young players, I only want to part with one of them. One of the better young talents on this roster. It hurts to lose any of them, but I could have that conversation with Danny about Grimes, Obi, or Quickly, as well, whichever one he fancies as well, as long as I can keep two out of those 3 still on the roster. Yeah, and Raw says the Don can just sit tight and not force anything. The Knicks hold the cards, Donovan Mitchell wants MSG. Just stand pat until the right deal comes together. Yep, exactly right. Just stand pat until the right deal comes together, right? That's what makes you a talented front office as well, striking when the iron is hot, doing the right deal. Sometimes the best deal is not doing any deal at all. It really is. Sometimes, if the other guy is just too stubborn, right? Let's say Danny Ainge, and this could well happen. Let's say he never comes off his high horse. Well, he continues to ask for five unprotected firsts, and two of the good young players. Well, let's say he never backs down from that. Then I absolutely just leave it. I leave it there. Well, let the price come down. Let him try to find a better deal out there. Well, there isn't a deal. Right? I go back to an auction. An item goes off on an auction to the highest bid. It don't matter if there's one bidder or 30 bidders as well. It goes off to the highest bid. If there's only one bidder, the item will go for whatever price that bidder bid as well. So still Dre, if the All-Star game is in Utah and they trade Spider, they will then have nothing to showcase. What a letdown. Yet I'm glad you mentioned that still as well. That's a topic and a talking point that I've been hearing from their side of things as well. Could that really be a motivation to keep Spider there until All-Star break at least? Well, and then trade him, but yet that really wouldn't. That would look funny to me as well. I could certainly see them wanting that showcase. That is a big deal. That's a lot of money for that franchise in the market out there. And Shah says we still need to get the roster together. We're missing a couple of players to fill out the team. Let us know, Shah, who do you think would complement this team nicely as currently constructed? And Derrick Rose is another situation. I could see him sticking around for one more year or longer even, but I could also see him being on the move at some point this season. When you're talking about Deuce, you're talking about IQ that could play the point as well behind Brunson. And then you could even go further and talk about, what's his name, Jean Montero, if he develops and sticks around, and he looks good in the G League. Derrick Rose, at the end of the day, he's here with a shorter career lifespan with that, and he would really help a team, push for that contention. Like Finesseful J says, send Rose, Evan, Grimes, IQ, and get back Spider and Pat Bev. Spider and Pat Bev, you got to send Rose, Evan, Grimes, and IQ as well. Look, if we're not giving away many picks or any picks in that, I would consider that. But I really wouldn't want to lose Grimes and IQ with that situation. But Pat Bev, that would be a nice fit, with Spider. Shah, I'm not giving up what Danny is asking for. No way. Yep, Shah hit as well. That, definitely got to stay clear of that, fam. Raw Hebrew says Grimes can't crack the 10-man rotation. He used crack in the comment, and I've said, with that situation, I think Grimes can crack the 10-man rotation, definitely. He should be starting too, as currently constructed as well. Salute the Public Enemy. What's good? Well, I thought he should be starting as well. That's my opinion with Grimes up in here. And Eddie says Ainge thinks he's dealing with the old crappy front office. Yet we don't play that way anymore. Right? I'm glad, and I'm glad people are coming to see that now. Well, and I know what the other side's sort of talking about. Thinking that it's more of an arrogance perspective. No, I don't think it's that arrogance at all. We really value our young players, Well, we're not just given that. They say they don't want to just give away Donovan for pennies or peanuts. Well, we don't want to just give away young players for a lottery ticket to try to contend, try to compete. There's still more building to go. with this thing. You got to build these structures and foundations more solid. Yeah, Khalid, what's good? Salute. Superstars don't become available, especially to the Knicks, to come to the Knicks, and any other star are going to cost RJ. So y'all are wrong. Spider don't cost RJ. Every other star will with this situation. I agree superstars don't become available all day, every day, but that to me, that's not a reason to also give away too many assets for Donovan Mitchell. And again, you got to consider everything. I consider heavily the fact that we signed Jalen Brunson with this situation. He plays a big factor in. People continue to forget he's a 25-year-old ascending player in this league. Possesses similar qualities to Donovan Mitchell, similar qualities in terms of being, that scoring guard. I know that he's nowhere near as athletic, dynamic. He's smaller as well, but yeah, similarities in being a scoring guard with this thing as well. And I think he could really help this team out. Brooklyn Butch, what's good, fam? Hope everyone's well. Let's get it. The streets are buzzing. And Kaiser says if this was LBJ or Durant in their prime, a 6'9" dominant A-level star, I would be okay with giving up any amount of picks. But Donovan does not make the Knicks a contender to be giving that up all. Yep, spitting facts there. It's about where does that player you're trading for, like Kaiser says, where does that player put us in the pecking order, right? With Donovan Mitchell, we're we're a playoff team, but we're not in the top 3 in the East, top 4 in the East with that thing. So yeah, got to be diligent with this deal. D says you also can't have a starting backcourt that is defensively deficient. You saw how that perimeter D got torn to shreds last year. Yep, it sure did. Yep, it's a different league now, and with the size, that's important, definitely. And King Imbit, what's good? Last year in the playoffs, teams second round and up were all great perimeter defensive teams. Yeah, it's not rocket science. Yep, definitely. And we have enough isolation, guys. That's what you got to consider as well. Donovan Mitchell's strengths are in isolation. Jalen Brunson's strengths are in isolation. RJ Barrett's strengths be in isolation, and Julius Randle likes to be isolation as well. So, yeah, in terms of fit, there are a lot of question marks with it that got to make you think long term. They've got to make you think and pause as well. And that makes even more critical why the right price is essential. To making this deal. And like the chat also is on point tonight or this morning about with striking when it's hot. Leon makes the right deal if it's a bargain deal as well for Cam Reddish, for D Rose as well. He's not afraid to strike when the iron's hot and be patient. D Nice's Cam's insurance policy has increased due to many injuries. No one wants that car wreck full of dings, but hope he can turn it around. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Appreciate that comment on Cam. Yeah, that's a fascinating topic. One thing's for sure is we made a great trade. It was a flyer on Cam's upside as well. I feel like we're still going to maybe get something for him as well. We know he's going to be in a restricted free agency, and if we think he's not at the point where we're going to keep him and pay him, I still think he can be flipped, in a bigger deal, and we could still get something back for Cam. Yeah, we could give Grimes some time before we put him in a Malik Beasley box. That's why there's 4 years of the rookie contract. Yeah, fans going back and forth on Grimes' ceiling potential with this thing. Yeah, we're talking about what we feel like his potential could be. But I love to wait and see, let the player prove themselves as well. Give them that opportunity, like D said, with the 4 years on the rookie deal. You never know. Players can ascend real quick, and also they can be overhyped sometimes as well. The truth is, it's up to that player, and it's up to opportunity, and it's up to development staff and all that. But yeah, the trend is going in the right direction with Grimes. You know, he's shown himself to be worthy of a starting look at the moment. Well, yeah, he was a highly touted prospect coming in. He did it in summer league, in limited minutes in the actual league. He shot well, and he did all the things you like to see as well. You know, you want to see more. You want to see him get more opportunity to see what he can be, because again, that's what separates teams that really ascend quickly. You draft a player that's the 25th overall pick, they become a starting quality player, let alone a good rotation piece. Then that's what teams really look for, you know, to contend. P. Nice puts together a package for Fournier, Grimes, Deuce, and 5 picks. Well, Fournier, Grimes, Deuce, and 5 picks. Yeah, I could get on board with that as well, P. If the 5 picks are 3 protected, three protected, and I'd give away 2 unprotected max. And I think Grimes, Deuce, and a salary filler Fournier. Yep, I think that's a fair deal. Key says you got to give up 2 young players. Ain't no way around that. What's this waiting on a good deal? Waiting until Mitchell is 35 years old. Yeah, yeah, I feel you on that in terms of the timeline and fans wanting to strike when the iron's hot as well. And in terms of the 2 young players, if it's Deuce and Grimes, I'm okay with that as well. I just want to keep 2 out of Obi quickly and Grimes. I only want to give up one of those guys with this situation and the picks. You know, I think that's still fair. But yeah, Keith, I also think with the Mitchell thing, like you see on the screen, you know, there is a situation. He's only 25 years old. You know, he has the opt out after the 24-25 season. So if it's meant to be, he'll still be able to find his way here. Well, that's the difference between just holding firm and waiting for the right time. Khalid says nobody but the Knicks fans care about Grimes. You ask any other NBA fan, they're going to say Grimes is a role player and they'd rather have Beasley. But Knicks fans are biased. We think Grimes is a star. Well, yeah, you know, I hear what you're saying, and I think some fans do have overrated Knicks prospects in the past as well. Yeah, I think it just comes from the right place. We want to see these young players, you know, achieve their potential. But I think it's different with Grimes. Fam, I really do think, yeah, he's currently a role player and projects to be a role player, but he has potential to be a good starting impact player, in my opinion. With that, Andrew, top priority was always getting the PG, and then the front office locked in Brunson for 4 years. That's a start. Yep, appreciate that great comment. Yep, that last part, that's a start, right? We're bucking the trend. Players spurning 5-year deals to come to us, you know, a player in their prime. Well, that's another point. How many players come here in their prime? Well, so let's be happy about that, about Jalen Brunson. Let's go into the season and just see how good we are with him and the rest of the unit. If the Mitchell deal is just too unreasonable. And Khalid says, bro, we can't, we can get what Grimes offers anywhere in the NBA. He's nothing special. That he's a regular 3-and-D guy. And Fabian, sup, what's good? Knicks, Keith, I love the Knick community, but we got to stop acting like our young players are some game changers. They're talented, but they're not impactful. I think at the moment, Knicks fans have a legit argument that they haven't been given an opportunity they deserve. Keith, if they're given a full good year of opportunity and they're not improving, I would get behind that. I would get behind the fact that, you know, we could move them and they're not as impactful. But yeah, it's got to be development still with this thing. We're in talent acquisition and we're in development for me. Jerry says, I'm rooting hard for Grimes, just not putting him in the Hall of Fame just yet. Yeah, speaking the truth there. Yeah, rooting hard. I'm rooting hard for Cam and everybody too with this thing because we have enough young talent where I just hope 1, 2, 3, 4 of them all pop and exceed expectations, right? Every now and then there's that player that exceeds expectations, what ceilings people put them on and all those things, right? There is this unknown quantity of work ethic, skill set, development, all of these things that separate good players from not so good players, from talented players that don't achieve potential to not as talented players that achieve bigger potential with all of that as well. Now, I'm certainly not, the hold up in this deal really, to me, isn't over the young players. It's over the picks for me personally. Whilst I might personally, selfishly or unselfishly want to keep, most of these young players out of the deal, it's really about the unprotected picks for me. Danny Ainge really wants 4 minimum, I think 4 to 5 unprotected picks. I think that's just a haul for a player like Donovan Mitchell, who has his own flaws as well. 4 to 5 unprotected picks, and I spoke about it with Coach Nick, B-Ball Breakdown as well. He's an unbiased outsider in this thing. Even he balks at that and says, no way. For a guy like Donovan, that many unprotected picks, it's just not a fair deal. 2, maybe 3 unprotected picks max. It's a different age now. Teams just don't give up that many unprotected picks. And Craig says, listen, everybody in Knicks Nation, Obi off the table, Grimes off table, RJ off the table, and quickly off the table. Leon Rose is not taking no shorts. With this thing, staying firm as well. D Nice fans need to stop being grimy on Grimes. He has a bigger upside than you think. Yeah, I think this is a season. A lot of things are going to be answered. That's what got me excited about this thing. RJ, Cam, Grimes, Obi as well. I think after this season, we'll know quite definitively as well, what the future holds for a lot of these players as a Nick. Dees says those young cores have had plenty of playing time to play through the ups and the downs with this situation. Also, what do they look like in practice? That's another point I like to make over, Tibbs and the coaching staff and everything. They see what's going on in practice as well. Fabian wants Sexton, cheaper and a better fit. Sexton, I had a few people asking me about Sexton as well recently. I like Sexton, I do. And I think he would have been a nice target if we didn't get Brunson. But we have Brunson now. So, I struggle to see a fit with Sexton at the moment because, Brunson's here. Eddie says if we stay pat in this year, we'll find out what we have. Yep, absolutely, completely agree with that. Yep, you've got to find out what we have. And a Kaiser, the missing hole on the roster is a 6'8", 6'9" athletic small forward that can guard the Tatums and the Durants as well. Yep, just clamp dudes down, clamp the best players on the other team. Yeah, I completely agree. You don't need all these players that score you buckets if you can help stop the bucket getters on the other team or make life difficult for them. RJ Barrett he was up against it last season with poor perimeter D, with Kemba and Fournier, and he was the guy, man, in his second year that had to do a lot. Sorry, in his third year, I think. Yeah, he had to do a lot, especially on the defensive end, and then have the energy to score on the other end as well. It was unrealistic expectations, I think. Exactly, Keith, and you have dozens of draft capital to build from that with a tier 1 leader in Brunson and RJ, hopefully ascending this year. The future hasn't looked this bright since the 1990s. Yep, salute. That's got me excited. The fact that this young core since the 90s, it's definitely looking very, very bright with this situation as well. The East got a lot of talent though as well. A lot of young up-and-coming teams with Detroit. For me, some teams to watch is Orlando. I love what they're doing, Detroit. And also, I think Charlotte and the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's 4 young teams, accumulating a nice group of young talent out there as well. What do you guys think about those teams? And Drizzy, salute. What's good? And Drizzy says potential means nothing. Look at K Knox. Yeah, that's a good point too. Look, potential is something that can be there if given the chance, minutes, or the player gets is developed nicely. But sometimes they could still fail as well. Many times it still fails as well. The NBA is the best in the biz. It's no boys allowed. It's where the best talent is. Well, sometimes you could be talented, you have potential, and you can still not make it. Billy Blanco, what's good? Salute. How dudes evaluate the squad without a true point guard? Brunson is that general we need. Exactly right. We really get a better look. Great point. We get a better look at how the team will look like, Billy, this season with this situation and Brunson here, right? A guy that's proven it, right? We always bring dudes in that have a lot to prove still, but Brunson has proven it to me. Well, what he does here won't surprise me either way. If he succeeds, it just wouldn't surprise me. And Keith says that's another thing that pisses me off with Knicks fans, the way we overrate RJ. It's like Frank all over again. Yeah, I know you're not comparing the two players, but yeah, with this situation, I think RJ's evaluated pretty fairly. I think evenly. He has knocks and he has his people knocking him, and he has his stands as well. But yeah, with RJ, it's another situation where he's on his rookie contract. I love waiting for a player to finish their rookie contract before I make my full assessment on them. Well, and he made some leaps in some areas. He's still got ways to go with RJ. But this season, I'm really looking for the shooting. Well, that's what's going to take RJ Barrett to the next level, is how does he shoot off the bounce and shoot off the catch again, well, and more consistent. Khalid says Brunson ain't no general either. He literally played with the white version of LeBron with that. 24 million players. P nice. Yeah, with that package. Kaiser, I'm interested in seeing what all these guys look like with a team with the point guard. Yep. Charlie Ward cousin, what's good, fam? Khalid, go take a hike. If you're not a Knicks fan, I think everyone's entitled to their opinions. We shout you out. Keith, been waiting over 20 years already. Yep, that's a fact. Right. Yep, that's a fact. That's why I really don't hold nothing against no Knicks fan for the way they feel, whether they want to go all in. I hear that side of the story as well, and also I hear those that are tired of the fixes and the quick fix and let's do something different. Let's do something different. The reason is there's no correct way to do this thing. At the end of the day, we could try both, and both could fail. We could try both, and we could be successful. We got Mitchell. Maybe we get more people to come, kind of thing as well. So, yeah, I appreciate everyone's takes on it. Yeah, no, Andrew says 15 players that want to win will find a way to win. That's powerful. That. Yep. Well, I agree they can affect winning as well, but fit is a big thing. Size and fit with this thing. What's good, JM3? Salute. Yep. Streets are buzzing. You already know. CWC. The Kaiser says, I think it's too early to say Grimes is not a good player. He came in year one and damn near almost took the starting shooting guard position before he got hurt. Yeah, as well. Yeah, it is way too early too. And I go back to my thing on the rookie contracts. Well, rookie contracts, you have a clear idea after year 2, 3, but you still got to give them time. You still got to give them that full rookie contract with that situation as well. And whatever Grimes ends up being, a good bench guy or a good starting player, he'll have value. Those kind of players will always have value, and we hit with the 25th pick. I'd rather just celebrate that. The fact that Grimes is a player that's going to have value in the league with us or in a trade. He shoots, he defends, and we could talk about his ceiling, but we really don't know. Yeah, and Drizzy, you can get another Grimes in the draft. You can. Yeah, I agree with that. Or in the G League, that's going to be a bit harder. Yeah, but Grimes already has nagging injuries. I don't see him staying healthy much. Well, that's, you're entitled to that. Yeah, for me, I haven't really seen too many injury concerns from Grimes at the moment. If anything, to me, his biggest knock is his size. 6'5". If he was 6'7", for what he could do, that's our starting three. Yeah, hard will. Yeah, stop overvaluating late first or early second round picks. They're not going to get the minutes to develop properly. So, yeah, that's definitely a situation that may play out. Yeah, may play out. Keith, we are not a development franchise. We're not OKC. Just situation. Time to forget that. Accept that. Yeah, CWC, did Danny Ainge really want to trade for Donovan Mitchell? Because he's asking too much. Yep. 3 to 4 of our young guys, 8 draft picks, 4 unprotected. Yep. Too much. Yep. Completely agree. Felicia, what's good? Why are Knicks fans willing to overpay for Mitchell when Ainge hasn't found a team to match our offer? If he does, Leon, come back. Yeah, any counter offers. Yeah, and see if he matches. Yeah. That's the truth, Felicia. I agree. Completely agree that what to me also the timeline, Felicia, chat, ladies and gents, we ain't under any timeline to make this trade right now. So why are we willing to overpay and make this deal right now? Right. That is the definition of thirst, Now, if the opportunity passes us by and we don't get Donovan, that's fair. But nobody should be upset we don't have him right now because we're in a holding pattern with this thing. We are. Khalid says Brunson's literally Ray Felton. Well, I think he's a better version of Ray Felton, younger as well. With that, Charles says, let's give them time. Too early to label Grimes a role player. I was at Bucks game when Grimes dropped 28. Salute, Charles. Well, good game to be at. What stood out to you from that game, Charles, with that situation, outside of Grimes just hitting that 3 ball as well? Yeah, Ray was a solid role player in my opinion as well. But look, yeah, Brunson's a piece in this thing. He's not going to carry us to no chip, but it's the right situation for us and him. I like when we sign a free agent, unrestricted free agent. We're not talking about picks given up, players given up, and all of those things with this situation. Yep, a lot of people getting back and forth on with Felton. But what D's saying is what Brunson did in the playoffs, only like 15 to 20 players have done before the age of 26. Yeah, and he's being compared to Ray Felton. Well, that's not realistic. It's disrespectful. That situation, says D. Yeah, that goes back to my thought process in terms of what Brunson can offer this team as well. Knickerbocker, salute. Cam, we be our second player given the chance. Cam can be our second better player if given the chance. A lot of people still high on him. His ability, athleticism. He could end up being that, or he could ultimately be the ultimate tease with this situation right now. Yet the chat's absolutely buzzing. Well, the passion second to none. This fan base, like I said, there's no correct way with this thing. That's why these pros get paid to do it, based off their experience. But I love chopping this up and going back and forth. Cash Out says playoffs is the highest level. Yeah, and what Brunson did was spectacular. What it really was as well. Yeah, and a lot of what he did was also with Luka out. Well, so a lot of people contributing to to his play because he had Luka. But yeah, there was a lot of that performance without Luka. So we have to accept that as well. But yet Brunson was never brought in here to be the number one option. There's nothing wrong with being the number 2, number 3, number 4 option with that. So let that play out the way it plays out. Deshaun, salute. What's good, fam? What's good? Good morning. I think we're doing the right thing. If we can't get this deal over the line at our own price, let's continue to ride with our squad and go from there. Another star will become available. Yeah. Appreciate your thoughts, Deshaun, on that. Yeah, we are doing the right thing, in my opinion, too. We're not operating with no timeline with this thing. Well, and we made quality acquisitions with this thing. It ain't like a free agency that has been lame, basically. And we're forced to make a splash. Well, we did some things, and let's believe in what we got, and bring it into camp. Right, bring it into camp. I really like our center position now. We got a guy that can flash some things in the perimeter, and we bring back Mitch, and we got Sims as well. Billy says the Nets provide a great example for dudes who don't value our young core. They favor superstar power over role players, and how is that working out for them? Yep, the Nets completely did the whole superstar thing, and it backfired. It did. Yeah, Keith says, let's be real. A lot of Knicks fans didn't want Brunson. Now all of a sudden their own bandwagon keep the same energy. I think a lot of Knicks fans were skeptical about the price too, fam, over what it was going to cost. But I think what won a lot of people over, fam, was the playoffs. I think the playoff play, fam, it really did swing some fans, rightfully so. That impressed me to the core, what I saw Brunson do, in the playoffs. Khalid says, other than those 2 games without Luka, Brunson played solid. That's it. Brunson is a solid player. Yep. At the end of the day, the biggest thing I celebrated was the fact that he wanted to be here and is the point guard of the need, which the Knicks have had for a long time. It ain't as much about Brunson himself, other than the fact that this squad has needed a point guard for a long, long time. So I'm happy with the fact that we addressed the biggest need. We had D Rose the year before with Elfrid, and it flamed out. Then we tried with Kemba, and that flamed out. We had to go into this season with that position fixed up. Right? There's no other ways about that. We needed that point guard, and Brunson was available for a decent price, and he came. And Charles says we cannot overplay for a 6'1" guard, as great as he is or may not be. Yep, exactly right. Yep, overpay. Andrew says the Knicks are not a b-ball team; they're a way of life. Yep, facts. Right, passion. Yep, favorite pastime, whatever it is that the Knicks mean to you. Right, it brings excitement to us, and we just all want to see winning. Charles, we didn't win 19 games last year. We won 37 without our best point guard majority of the season. Yep. That's what got me excited too, with this point guard with Brunson now. A la Wise up in there. Salute. Peace. What's good? CAA Mafia Spider posted the story on his Insta of the garden. He's coming home. Whether Ainge wants it or not, he will force his way. Yep, definitely. It's just a waiting game, right? If Jazz fans and Jazz don't like the fact that we don't want to pay, you don't have to trade him to us. The same way we don't have to overpay. Bring him into camp. Let him rock out as a Utah Jazz for a minute. Yeah, and we'll continue to do our thing. Yeah, we'll continue to build and continue to do our thing. We develop and role players and still in no man's land in the process. The worst place to be in the NBA. We have no identity with Keith, with that situation. I think we're building towards something. Our defense was 11th in the league last season, even with Kemba and Fournier. When we fix that up, I think, we get more wing defense. and we'll be better at that as well. Yeah, Keith's definitely wanting to make a bigger splash, and tired of waiting around. Yeah, Dees says the Knicks haven't had the stability. Facts. For 40 years, Knicks haven't had a leader like Brunson in 40 years. It's about stability, respectability, and leading by example. Yep. Yeah, facts. Khalid says, look at Ray Felton's numbers and look at Brunson's numbers. Same player. Felton actually had better numbers. Well, that situation, I'm higher on Brunson still than Felton. But yeah, Felton was a nice player in his prime. It was a much smaller sample size, I think, than what Brunson's got ahead of him. 25 years old. But yeah, in terms of both players, they're very similar. Quentin says we need a bench with that. And Brunson won't be a tier 1 star in this league. He'll be a tier 1 leader, and this organization is what we desperately need. Yep, completely agree. Yep, straight facts with that. Hard will. Brunson's going to make us better, but all teams got better as well. So we need more talent to compete in the East. Yep, spitting truth. The truth there. Hard will. With that, the East is a beast right now. That's no lies, and we do need more talent if we're to make our way up with this thing. Key says we need a trade. I don't like the roster as currently constructed. Yeah, let us know who you want, but I got a feeling you might think Fournier as well is a guy we need to clear up some of that salary, and I think bring in another wing defender with this thing, right? We have enough scoring. I feel like we really have enough scoring on this roster. And CWC, hey guys, we have a point guard. Let's see what he can do with this unit. Can't double team Randall no more. Yep, that's facts. Yep, completely rock with that. We might need another point guard that can handle the rock. If we don't get Mitchell, get a point guard, says C-Dub with that. A dirty dancer up in here. Salute. There is a chance if Danny lets this get to the regular season, he will let Grimes raise his value and lower his pick haul. Yep. That's what I'm looking for too, Dirty. As well, playing the long game with this thing. Playing it straight up in here. And CA, why did Spider post the clip of the garden on his Insta story? Be patient, he's coming. Yep. Brunson's work should not be over. Look, but Spider completes the deal. Makes us very dangerous. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. It'd be box office as well. And yeah, don't think that Leon's resting on this thing. Damn, he's building and building and building with that. The Hat Whisperer. People are so sleeping on Brunson. He is more like a better Billups. Chauncey Billups. Big shots. Down low post game. Leader and better handle. The kid got some sauce. The Hat Whisperer as well. Yep. I'm looking forward to seeing him, man, at MSG. Yeah, he's going to be balling out. Big crowd. He wants to be here. He's motivated. And let's get it up in here as well. Appreciate you for that. Let's get it. Yeah, fans who still want the pipe dream of the 2 stars just choosing us out of nowhere need to wake up. Yeah. 2 stars choosing us. It's going to be difficult. But if you bring in, let's say we did bring in Spider, it would be a situation, I feel, where it would be way more attractive as well. So yeah, you do got to make steps. Yeah, Eddie, the Knicks are positioning themselves to be competitive yet for the next 10 years. The NBA is in transition. Yep. As the KD and LeBrons are on the way out. Yep. I like that line of thinking as well. Definitely. You got to think about what's next, plotting and scheming, like Eddie says, for what's to come around this league. You got to think the journey the Utah Jazz have been on to lead them to this point, right? They had their shine with Rudy Gobert, Spider, and that it didn't work out, and where they're back to square one. They're back to trying to rebuild again as well. So you got to be planning for what could get you to the top. With this thing, Keith says, watch as soon as Brunson ball out. How many Knick fans will come out the woodworks to say I told you so? Yeah, you know it's happening, Keith. It's definitely going to happen. Going to happen. Yeah. Truth and lies. What's good? I'm willing to go into the season with our young core, and let's be patient. Yeah, appreciate that. That is the truth as well. Let's continue to build and develop with who we have at the moment, and and see what else makes sense up in the air. One thing that's going to be really critical too is obviously the coaching. You know, I want to hear everyone's thoughts on the coaching situation. What does he got to do to get the most out of this roster, the current one we got? Well, I'm talking about Brunson, you know, finishing games out. Is it D Rose? Yeah, RJ, you want him taking the final shots? You know, Julius, what does he need to do to have this a better year? CA, what do you think the Jazz leak and Knicks first offer was Fournier, RJ, and 3 picks? This front office will trade RJ for the right star. I don't think they believe in him as much as fans think. Yeah, I could definitely see that happening in the future. Right, I don't think right now. Well, I think they definitely want to continue to see what RJ got. Canal, salute. What's good, fam? Let's get it. Appreciate you, D. Let's get it. Have a great day. Yeah. Thanks for the contributions, as always. Great conversations. Yeah, Key says, I'm not worried about Brunson and Randall. It's the rest of the team that worry me, especially RJ. He better bring it this season. No excuses. Yep. Keith, I think he knows it. He knows it's a big year. I don't think we need to tell RJ, you know, shooting wise, finishing, consistency, all of that. He knows it's a huge year for him up in the year. Geraldine, salute to the chat. Let's get it as well. Yeah, you guys are spitting passion with this thing. Khalid says, but if Brunson got to play with Fournier in the backcourt, LOL, Jesus better help them because we're going to be horrible. And this coach, front office, going to have their heads on a stick with that thing. Elf had pressure when he was here. No, all he had to do was bring the ball up and give it to Randall with that. Yeah, Tibbs is our coach. He showed you for his whole career that he don't play young guys huge minutes. And Fournier is getting paid starter money. With this, Grimes is the better fit next to Brunson, no doubt. No doubt, Dirty. Dancer with that. Better defender as well. And low usage. Yep. More versatile. Catching and shooting. All can be on the ball as well. That's why I just so high on Grimes in terms of his whole package, you know, and what he can offer. Yep. Geraldine says Tibbs need to change his coaching style already. Yep, you already know. So none of this read and react, Geraldine. We got to let these players share the ball. Yep, we got to share the ball with all these ball dominant guys, I think. Yep. Yeah, CA says if Ainge wanted RJ, the Knicks would have pulled the trigger, I think, on an RJ and 3 picks. That's fascinating. If the Jazz wanted to, I don't think the Knicks are ready yet to move on from RJ, personally. But I feel like, you know, in the future, possibly. Keith, I don't care if you stay pat. Just consolidate the roster and the assets. Just don't pull a Boston and sit on the assets and do nothing. Yep, completely agree. Yep. Appreciate you for that take as well. I don't care if you stay pat, but just consolidate and the assets, Yeah, and don't pull a Boston and sit on everything for too long. That's one thing I actually not worried about, Keith. I don't think these guys are here waiting for years and years. I think they still want to make things happen. I think they really want to make things happen. I just think they're willing to be a little bit more patient with it. I think if it's not before training camp, I think by All-Star break, we'll have another star on the team. We'll have another All-Star on the team. I think they are ready to part with some of these picks. They're just negotiating, and they're just trying to make sure that it's not a fleecing. I think that it's fair. Yeah. Eddie says Tibbs needs to let the players play. Let Brunson run the team. Yeah, that's what I've been saying. And let Brunson run the team and let the best players that work around the true point guard get to run. Free the young talent, and they will show out. Yep. Completely agree, Eddie. And I'm looking forward to seeing Brunson with RJ, Grimes, and of course Obi as well, getting up and down with that, looking for lobs with Mitch, with Brunson. Well, yep. I really think in a couple of years' time as well, when the salary goes up and everything, I think the Brunson contract's just going to look better as well. Yeah, especially if he ascends in talent and play as well. Yep. Billy, Tibbs on the super hot seat with this replacement waiting on the staff, Johnny Bryant. Remember, Worldwide West did call him out, last season, and he did publicly admit that he messed up with his stubborn lineups with young players. True. Definitely, he ain't got the longest leash, just Tibbs. This year, he needs to hit all the right buttons. I feel like well, he's gonna get a fair chance, but he got to hit the right buttons. Just Tibbs, he cannot afford to have another lame year, I think. Yeah, and shot clock violation. What's good? I wonder who will be this year's fall guy. It's always somebody new to blame every year with our fans. Yeah, losers. There's plenty of blame to go around when teams are losing with that thing. Yeah. And Dirty Dancer, you really think that Tibbs is in love with Fournier or all players over a sweet shooting defensive dog like Grimes? I think he got real respect for Fournier, to be honest. I think Tibbs knows spacing's so important, the driving kick ability, all of that. But at the same time, Grimes can do the same thing now, and better D. Yeah, better D with that. And CAA, I've been saying the same thing about Grimes' size, undersized wing, 6'5", with that. He's good for the 2 spot, guarding 1s and 2s. 3s could hold his own, but the 6'5" size can hurt him. I think with the bigger guys, with Kawhi, Tatum's, Bronze, and the like KDs and stuff. I think if Grimes was 6'6", 6'7", he'd have a bigger ceiling, I think, with that. Khalid says, as long as Tibbs coaching, he's doing his own rotations. Yeah. Well, Leon got to definitely hold him more accountable. I think this season he got to. Otherwise, they both could be gone. Yeah, Keith, I'm sorry. I tell it like it is when it comes to my team, and I don't hold back. No, we don't expect no one to hold back at all. This is what it is. Yeah, appreciate everyone's thoughts. We shout you out, and we keep a 100. All Tibbs favorites are out of here. Yep. We took about Taj. Taj is now gone. I think D Rose, clock's ticking on him as well, fam. Alec Burks out the door. Nerlens Noel out the door as well. Yep. And a Gav Roche, desperate Knicks. The Brunson era has begun. As long as Dolan is around, Knicks will be garbage. Khalid, do y'all forget Tibbs' rotations last year? How quickly y'all forget? I think he had more of a leash last season, Khalid. I think he did. I don't think that's going to continue forever. Well, it won't. He's 62 years old. I think everyone's going to get impatient with this thing. Everyone's going to want Tibbs' head on a stick if things don't come correct this season. Primo buzzing up in here. What's good? is there another borderline star we could trade Fournier and Randall for if the Spider thing don't go down? Anyone at all out there? Good question. A lot of fans are thinking the same thing, fam. It depends what kind of star. I think Colin Sexton has potential. He's young. He could be available. He's available. He hasn't signed yet. But I think a lot of fans were hoping on DeJounte Murray. That passed us by. I could see the next guy people are hoping for is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Could see him, maybe not a superstar, but a young star coming up. In terms of superstar, I don't really see an established superstar. I used to think Karl Anthony Towns was going to force his way out, but it looked like he's going to stay. Fam, yep. Geraldine, the fall guy will be Fournier, yep, because of Tibbs' bad coaching. Now, look, I think if Fournier gets a lot of heat, but he did what he was supposed to do. He's just not a defender, basically. He can't play D, but he did what he did. He's not a traffic cone or a turnstile, but he's not good. He's just not good with that. Click, what's good, fam? I don't think Tibbs will change, but the front office has moved a lot of his crutches. That will force the issue on point. Click. Yep. What can you do if a coach too stubborn and won't change their ways? You force them to. Well, that's sending a message, like Click says, right? You move on from the Kembas. Not that Kemba was his guy, but you these veterans. Alec Burks, Noel, Taj, D Rose could be next as well. Randall might even go as well. Key says Fournier ain't leaving his starting spot. Tibbs loves the vets. Well, possibly I could see that still happening. I'd be disappointed, Keith. I do think Fournier, at least at some point in the year, could find himself traded or on the bench. At some point, but that got to be, a point of Grimes. Grimes really taken a huge leap, and getting Tibbs's trust in preseason training camp, and all of that good stuff. Yep. And what's good, RT? Would you rather play the youth, but the Knicks would have been better served to trade Randall and Evan Fournier to the Nets for Kyrie and play him at shooting guard like Mitchell cheaper? Yep, so you would rather have done that. Would rather they play the youth. Yep, but the Knicks would have been better served to trade Randall last year. Yep, definitely. I think with that situation. Yep, the Hat Whisperer says Randall is the real problem. Can this front office reel him back in? Yep. I'll be reeling it that awfully hard. It's got to be a situation where his future is going to be decided. No lies. Appreciate that take. Yet Randall, with Brunson here now, less touches for Randall, right? He got to check his ego at the door, and he's got to understand this situation. With this situation, fam. Yep. Primo says, I think Joe Johnson can still do anything, or is he washed? I think he could still play for a team, to be honest. I don't know if we're not at that contention yet for a JJ, but I still think he could come on and get a bucket or two. Probably in a similar condition and shape as Melo, fam. I think with that situation, they're probably more likely to bring Melo in. And Keith, keeping it real, the only way Fournier may lose his starting spot is by trading him. Yep. Could be another situation where you take away Tibbs's toys with that. Yep. Bernard King could have been the best offensive player ever. Andrew, appreciate that. Yep. A walking bucket as well. Yep. Absolute walking bucket. Yep. Salute P Nice, Geraldine, the great. CT, the deal is over for Spider. You think the deal's over? Wouldn't be surprised. I really do think the Jazz are hell-bent and serious on bringing Mitchell into training camp, right? If they're not happy with the deal, right? This situation, the Jazz are, and Danny Ainge is stubborn as hell, right? Leon Rose is, staying pat with this dirty dancer. Johnson can stay in the big three. Yeah, he could ball in the big three. He'd certainly get some buckets there. Yep. Yeah, completely agree, fam, with this. But yeah, I gave my thoughts on the tampering situation as I get ready to wrap up this early show, and I will chop it up on Friday night as well. We'll be back to chop up any new news. But I just want to get these thoughts out there again about the tampering situation. I just think it's the NBA doing due diligence. I don't think anything serious is going to come of this. I don't think anything's going to come of the tampering situation. But if the Knicks do cop a penalty or a fine or anything like that, I think that'd be unfair. I said it before. Every year before free agency, we see deals get announced straight away. Right, the NBA would have to go back and fine or reprimand the same amount of teams that if the Knicks get. I just think they're just doing their due diligence. Well, not sweating it, not worried about it, but I just hope that nothing comes of it, because I think it would be, unfair for us to get anything. Basically, I think this was a fair transaction, and the Knicks didn't do anything outside of what any other team's been doing for the best part of the decades, right? When the Wojers and the Shams announce, these deals, before they happen. But yeah, ultimately, let's wait and see. It's going to be interesting. And Vince says, yeah, geez, Melo is the last person we need on this team. Yeah. In terms of the log jam and the minute situation. Yep. Dirty, I don't even care about losing a second rounder. If we like someone, just send some cash in the future. We good. Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. I'm not even sweating the penalty. My point is I'm just trying to make is that I just think they're doing this for PR purposes, the NBA. I don't think there's anything founded by it. With this thing, the Knicks have done what anyone else has been doing, even this year, deals were announced, right? If you find the Knicks, why not find these other teams that had players lined up, deals, and things like that. Shot Clock says also Knicks used Family as the theme song. Impossible to prove tampering or Family. Smart move in the Knicks. Yep, on Family. Yep. Yeah, completely agree. But I just think the NBA had to do something because maybe, the look of it, the pressure from everybody else. Yep. VR, what's good, fam? First time, salute. Welcome, glad to have you. But we get ready to wrap this show up. We've all been rocking for 2 hours. It's been great conversation, and the theme of it obviously is that Danny Ainge can do what he wants right now, because Leon Rose is not going to give away all these assets, right? Let's stay patient and strike while the iron is hot, but for the right price. Well, for me, it's one young player, a couple of unprotected picks and a couple of protected picks, and a salary filler as well. And let's wait for any other team to outbid that as well. And I appreciate you, all the mods out here, the chat buzzing. Everyone join the convo in the comment section on the replay. And like and subscribe. Yeah, appreciate it. And in terms of the picks, I'll just add that, more of the protected picks would be great as well. As we get ready to wrap this up, we'll catch you on Friday night when the feeling's right. Salute, salute, salute. Let's get it. Be well. Salute.
You can't be serious. I mean, really though? You mean to tell me that them Voltrons went out like that? Hey, yo, Nims, let me hold this for a minute.
Bong bing, close the train doors, the broom swept, can't believe they got 0 Ford. Kyrie, you a problem child. Well, Ho said, shit, let me move my bowels. Bum ding, this must be a dream. I thought I saw Spike with the other team. Bum ding, what we talking about? No matter who's on your team, you in the Knicks house. That playing game don't mean you won inside the playoffs. Don't even talk to the media, take that jersey off. The 4 games I'm tuned in, you had the city watching. Don't even watch Philly play, just watch James Harden. That swing pick, never mind, I let my man take him. And now Katie having nightmares of Jason Tatum. That famous line by Loaded Lux that you gon' get this work. Don't talk to me about Ben, he said his back hurt. Like Kyrie, like Steve Nash, you can take the blame. Come next year, I'm going back to playing half them games. The truth be told, we don't care about your Barclays. When it comes to the city, this here's RJ's. My young Jims right now, yeah, they on some shit. From Obi Toppin, I man your ass real quick. A line flip, no, I feel bad for Blake Griff. That's the loss you gotta take to win a championship. Now you back like the New Jersey Nets. What you thought your Final Four was cutting down the nets? Bum bing, close the train doors. The broom swept, can't believe they got 0 Ford. Kyrie, you a problem child. Well, Ho said, shit, let me move my bowels. Bum bing, this must be a dream. I thought I saw Spike with the other team. Bum bing, what we talking about? No matter who's on your team, you in the Knicks house.
When it comes to the city, it's all